This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
First off, public speak time. You guys want to say anything right here?
What does BEES stand for?
Biodiversity, environment, and ecological sustainability.
Biodiversity, economic,
Environment,
environmental sustainability.
ecological sustainability.
Like email address, number.
Oh, yeah. So did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from March 4th? Everybody approved the minutes from March 4th. I get a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion has been approved and seconded. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Cool, great. Minutes approved. I'll turn those on when we get back. All right, first thing on the agenda, if we want to go in the agenda order, I don't see any reason not to, will be Owen when he's back over. Sure. You'd like to update us on the resolution.
Thank you. Yes, so I took the resolution that we approved. I uploaded it to the Xerxes Society as a whole page for each community that is intending to become a bee city. There's actually a lot of information that I need to include on there too. But basically we're in waiting game now. So I uploaded it. It looks like they review them every couple of weeks.
Okay.
And it's been a few weeks, so I'm going to email them tomorrow. So
they say they approve that version, and then we take it to the city council for.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm hoping we get that done. So either for the next April meeting or for the first meeting in May. I'll obviously let you all know ahead of time, so we can have a few folks come here speak on behalf of that. We basically approved it, so I don't think there's anything we wouldn't have to meet on it again. So I'll just let you know as things move along.
Yeah, unless there's changes required or something, and then we'll probably do have to pop in real quick.
Can't imagine that's going to be the case, but yeah. So.
All right. Now we would like to hear from Hal on various things.
Okay, various things, and I'll go quickly so nobody falls asleep. First off, I reached out to Piscataway Conservation Trust, or PCT, just to keep it short, about having an outreach table at their upcoming plant sale, and they're fine with that. So that's scheduled date is May 18th, with a rain date of the 25th. And so between now and then, what we should discuss and decide is what materials would we like to distribute there with respect to us? What questions do we want to ask the public who come by to chat? I mean, okay, we want to have a sign-up sheet, but I kind of like the idea of asking them for something specific. So there's that. And so that's, something that we need to do between now and then.
I don't know if we want to delve into this right now, but I have sort of related questions because I would like to get sort of like a general framework for materials, not just for that, but for the farmer's market, potentially cultural chaos. I just want to have like a packet that we kind of like do anytime we're going and tabling or canvassing or whatever we're doing.
Yeah, kill as many birds with one stone as we can.
Right.
Are we constrained from discussing these things by email, or do we have to do all our discussions formally in session here?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're basically deliberating on actions of the committee, then you can share information, but you can't enter into a conversation about which would be considered deliberation. However, if there were two people who were kind of workshopping this and they're the only people discussing it, you can, as long as it's under a quorum, technically it's fine. And I guess the group could determine that they're okay with people running with that and basically give them free rein to do that, as opposed to saying you have to talk about and bring it back for a vote. So that would be my suggestion as to how to probably do that.
Yeah, the question that I was going to have, which was similar, was if we go ahead and basically sort of have the people working on it or doing it, like the people that are volunteering to do the tabling, create the materials, use it, and then kind of they can bring it back for like a presentation. And if we want to like give like we can sort of approve them after the fact and give like feedback. And if we want to do that, does that work? Is that?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
whatever the group wants. Yeah. I mean, the reality, we're going to meet once before then, right? Technically, probably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would just defer to the rest of the committee.
Okay. So, Jenny.
I suspect that some of the material that we want to put on the website has a lot of overlap with the material
Also
that
true.
a tabler might be wanting. So those might be allied conversations
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and on similar timelines
Yeah.
too.
And just for a little bit of context, I think their standard times for their plant sale, like 10 to 4. And I would suggest that the most important times for us to be, I don't think we need to have somebody there all day. But I think if we, targeted that first 2 or 3 hours, that would be the most important time to try to be there.
Okay.
Sorry, did you say noon to 4?
10 to 4. And that might not be fully accurate. I'm speaking from memory there. But there's a lot of plants in my living room from their plants.
I was gonna say, like, well, 6 hours I can probably be, assuming that's like a Saturday or something.
It's a Saturday, but I think that would pretty much be overkill. And I think their kickoff time, most of the plants are going to be there. Most of the people buying plants are going to be there at the beginning. So
Basically, right.
target the beginning.
Okay.
So that's I have been investigating garden signs, and Amazon is a wealth of information, and they have all sorts of signs. I have gone and bought one for my garden. This guy. Yeah. And Owen brought in this one that he had printed up last year. So there are things out there that, just I think what's relevant for context is the price for most of these in the order of $20 to $25, and so that's what people would look to expend about. So so that seems pretty reasonable, and there's I printed out 3 pages, and there were many more pages of choices there, but it's also, you look at the first half dozen and you've seen them all. So
One question about that is, I don't think this is something we have the bandwidth for right now, but just to throw it out there, is it would be nice to be able to like get a call to like local artists, since we have so many of them, and try and do something kind of locally produced.
I think that would be great. Yeah.
So if we this seems like a good baseline for this year. I think there's a couple other categories of signs we may want to be looking into in the future. And if we get to the point where we have bandwidth, hopefully we can find a way to connect the artist community and try and, I don't think we have it right now. But
Yeah. So I'm completely on board with that idea. Another item that I have been,
did you want to say something?
oh, sorry.
Oh, just a quick comment that I think I'd have to double check. Those are $12 to $15 per sign, probably too.
Okay.
And there's a few of them floating around, or I guess fluttering around. So there's, so I'll just obviously offer those. I still have a few. We can get more printed locally at I forget the name of the printing shop right at the.
What's the idea or plan for distributing or selling or whatever we're trying, or just like suggesting, are we just going to be suggesting to people via like website and tabling that they get their own signs, or what are we thinking here?
I think for now, that would be our best approach, simply because we don't have a source of funds
Yeah.
or a mechanism to make them available.
Right.
So I think for now, we want to be just pointing people in constructive directions.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can put it out there too, if you want, if the group wants, what I could do like now, basically, because May's a month away, is I could put it out there. If people want to get these, they can basically, I can start taking orders and they can basically send me money and I can get X amount printed if you'd like. If the group wants, if we want to go with these other ones, either way, like we can just give them like, here's the item on Amazon, like go buy it. So, I think there should be consistency. So, but that's, yeah, whatever, what I would defer to the committee.
Who are we going to tell and how? Because we don't have like an email blast list right now. We're not actually set up to, I mean, if we started, I don't know when the summer farmers market starts, but the winter farmers market's over. So who's the target for that?
Probably social media.
Okay.
So use Facebook, and I still have to try to see if I can dig up that distribution list I had from Pollinator Action Plan. I would. Oh, sweet. Okay.
Sorry, so like jump around, but we can get to that later.
Yeah. So whatever the committee ended up wanting to do. So,
Okay.
But yeah.
One other thing with designing something, if we're, this I think is a good short term, but for our climate action plan, we're talking about having a design contest for the cover, and have it. So we're connected with Easthampton City Arts to help with that. And they're going to put it out to local schools and things like that and make it a little competition. So that could be something else that we could do in this context. And
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool. Okay, so probably what we're going to end up with there is maybe sending it via some mechanism to the Pollinator Action Plan list and posting to social media as yourself, as we don't like have a bees account or anything. So
just going to say that, yeah, can we create a bees committee Facebook page?
No, social media in general. I was looking for another thing, and also this, I was looking into like potentials for like some of the apps which allow you to do multiple different types of social media posting. So I do think it would be great. You know, one of the things that it's another question mark for me on the public meeting law is like who we can empower to like make the posts, or whether we all get like logins, share login, et cetera, whether or not we're like letting anybody, any one of us who wants to send it out, and then like what's too much. It gets, my brain goes into complicated places with that. Like I want it to happen, I just don't exactly know what the like parameters are.
Yeah.
Right, if there's a social media page to have like, this is the purpose and this is what we expect posted, ground rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just purely informational stuff is fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was gifted a page that existed already. I'm just added to like as an admin, and I can empower other people to post on it as well.
Yeah.
But we, the thing growing the following of that is really like getting the reach of it is the tricky part.
Right.
We haven't really made a concerted effort to get it too much beyond where it already is. So
Just to throw out there, I don't know how it applies to a committee like this, but there is also a social media policy that is for employees. I don't know. Owen, you might have a better idea, but that's like through HR in terms of like social media policy and like posting and things like that. Like if I want them to post something on the City of Easthampton Facebook page, I reach out to the mayor's office and ask Lindsay to post it, essentially, which is what I did with the contest, the word contest we were doing.
Right, but for this stuff, I think we're looking at just creating accounts for like Easthampton Bees as the account name across, Facebook. I want to do a Fediverse site, so Mastodon or whatever, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I mean, I would be happy to go make a bunch of accounts and like share logging threads, and then we can kind of like work through like, I would have a bad instinct to post every single like nice thing I see from my email lists coming in, but like, which, a flood I don't think helps. So we want to like contain that a little bit, but But yeah, and then, but if we, the other thing about like social media is if we want that to work, we actually like, you need interaction. Like you're not going to build following unless you're like actually interacting with anybody that like responds to you or whatever. So again, it's like, we can just do that and then I guess kind of review or something every now and again at like committee time meetings or. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe have the committee agree on like 2 to 3 admins.
Yep.
And then, and then there's could always be opportunities to bring up any concerns about the way it's being run.
Yep.
I don't trust anyone here to do it, so.
Okay. Okay, so I might take that, might take that as like an action item. Sorry, Hal, I know we're
No worries. No
sprawling,
worries.
but
No, this is constructive, so this is good.
But the action step is you, Sean, will look into.
Yeah. And I mean, if anybody wants to be the one to create it, what I'm hoping to do is like be able to create the accounts and maybe set myself up with one of the like apps that allows for multi-posting, so you don't have to sit there and like circular file it. So yeah, I'll look at that. Does anybody want to be admins? Volunteers wanted?
I know I to shy away from that stuff, but I also don't want to take it from someone else who wants it.
Yeah. Benny's thinking about it, but doesn't really want to, but kind of wants to.
I think it's a good format. If there are other things related to this, I see on social media to share, like, and target the local audience.
Yeah.
A lot of national and regional things going on, which is cool.
I'll be one of the first
Yeah.
followers.
So Elodie, you also want to be?
No.
No.
I'm just cheering you on. Gonna look into it.
Does moderation of a social media account count for anything with Boy Scouts? Okay. Hal.
Okay, a couple other quick things. I've started looking into amber lights to encourage folks to, consider swapping out. It was frustrating. I mean, 2 categories: basic bug light, incandescent bulb, and flood lamps, because I have some motion controlled flood lamps on the side of my house. I bought the last 2 amber floodlights at Aubuchon. And they are not to be found anywhere else. I mean, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Tractor Supply.
Wow.
And now I suppose, if we went and asked, we could get them.
Yeah.
So my next 2, I, contributed to the evil Bezos empire and bought them from Amazon. Bug lights are more available and come in singles or 2 packs, and you're going to be about $8 or $9 out of pocket for those, whereas a floodlight would be about 18.
Bug lights?
An amber colored light bulb.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to be safe, $4. Yeah.
Right. And so, I'm installing those, on my porch lights, outside,
Yep.
As opposed to the floodlights, on the motion activated thing.
Yep.
But I think, at least for starts, this is the sort of thing that people would be interested in. So, again, talking to people at the plant sale, I can babble about this.
Yeah.
So that's useful. I was really kind of disappointed to see how limited what, the various home supply stores and hardware stores had. But I suppose that can be turned around.
It'll be interesting to see whether with Northampton going forward with their dark sky amendment, whether or not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, native plants and, what do local nurseries have? Both Hadley Garden Supply and Lansing, if I'm pronouncing their name correctly, have distinct sections for native plants of perennials. But for trees and shrubs, the natives and the non-native cultivars are kind of all intermingled. And so you'd have to, grab a staffer and say, this is what I'm looking for. And then, of course, you've got Nasami Farms up in Whately, which is all native.
Mhm.
And then they're not open yet, but I've spent a lot of time and money with Bay State Perennials, also in Whately. And their natives and non-natives are all completely intermixed. And as I said, they're not open yet, so there's nobody there to talk to at the moment.
Do you happen to know whether or not all of the nurseries are sort of like, not certifying, but like standing behind the native stuff, not being treated with like neonics? Because that's one of the advantages of Masami, is I know for damn good and sure they
I did not ask that question, and I do not know.
Okay.
But
Unfortunately, I think that is worth asking of people, because like planting native plants and then like having it kill the pollinators that are landing on it seems slightly counterproductive.
Okay. Do a little bit of spelling for me, and I'm just thinking, I'm a touch out of my depth with what your question was. So neonics, I know it's something which is short for nicotine.
Yeah, neonicotinoids, NEONICO.
Okay.
TINOID.
And essentially what we want to ask them is, do they certify their native plants as not having been treated?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Good question to ask. And
systemic pesticides in general, neonics are just the ones
okay.
that I know the name of.
And again, for just informally talking with people, this is just a good thought to pass on to them, because, gosh, I didn't think to ask whether, who else would. So,
yeah.
I think that's a great thing to ask about, and it's good to make sure that nursery owners and people of that ilk know that people care. So I think that's really worthwhile. What I wanted to say was that I think, and I'm happy to check this, I think the Mass Pollinator Network has a list of nursery and plant providers that makes those policies or commitments a little more clear. So that list might already exist.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. I need to go revisit that. I did not go dig into that.
I might be wrong. It might not be like that in depth, but I think they have done some of the legwork trying to make it easier to find places that line up with particular values.
And because the other easy thing for anybody that is having a conversation or whatever is, for any plant, you still want it to be like systemic pesticide free, even if you're not going the native route. And another easy way to do that is you can get USDA organic plants, and those are systemic pesticide free. So, and that's true for seeds too. One of the things about the seeds that's really annoying is if they can treat the seeds, and the systemic pesticide will last in the plant for like multiple years. So even if you're growing something from seed, you can still be poisoning your pollinators.
Okay. I had no idea.
So not only pesticide-free organic, but regenerative farming practices. So
That'd be great.
Yeah.
especially that. I know they list certain farms, but they might be category for specific plants.
Yeah, when I've asked various nurseries about stuff before, they usually be like, well, we don't know if our growers do. Well, growers use it or not, and then you end up like calling the grower, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So like, it becomes
Have an approved list or something.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So anyways, that's the lot that I had written down that I wanted to mention for discussion.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So I just want to clarify, what do you want to do about no mow signs? Like, which route do you want to go?
Oh yeah, we do need to go fast.
Ask people, if you want me to put something out there, or do you want to just offer up other options to order, or?
I wonder if we can combine a couple of these goals. If we have a sign-up sheet that has like, yes, I'm interested in hearing from you. Yes, I'm interested in a sign. Yes, I'm interested in amber lights, or whatever kind of action items we're proposing. And then we can kind of segment who's interested in what and maybe do a bulk order or something like that. So I like the idea of having signs that are coordinated, having signs that our funding goes towards something that we are also interested in supporting. And I wonder if, we can just sort of use one list for multiple purposes.
If you were doing like signs like that, can we get a QR code put on it?
Yeah, I can ask ProMark.
Okay, because if we could do like a QR code with the like Bees Committee website or something like that, then that would be. And I mean, like, I guess I would go with those because it sounds like they're both cheaper, and because we could do something like add a QR code on it. And in terms of, I think we should go ahead and do the email blast now because we have that. If there's, if you want to like ask to have a post on like the Easthampton City Facebook page or something like that, seems reasonable. And then because we are not necessarily going to get to the tabling that we want to do before May comes around. So we need to, I would say, do we want to vote to empower Owen or do we need to vote to empower Owen here or what? Like, I just say like, let you roll with it.
I mean, it's up to the committee if you want.
I don't think I need a formal vote. I'm fine with this.
Yeah. All
We'd
right.
be
So,
collecting interest and then people would pay for their own sign essentially. Or
Yeah, so I'm just thinking what I could do is I like your idea, so we probably have to do that, put something really quickly together in that regard. And then, I know it's a farther ahead, but I would just put it out here that we could take an order, have a cutoff date, probably like mid to late April, get them printed, and then people can come, whether they're participating or not, come to a cleanup on, and or the plant sale and pick up their signs. So I'm also not dealing with like delivery / like come to my porch.
right.
So the cleanups May 5th and then the plant sales not long after it. So that would be an opportunity for people.
The plant sale wouldn't be until mid-May, so I would think if we could do something at the cleanup, that would be a better.
May 5th.
So, I'm going to glance real quick also at the Easthampton Farmers Market when they get, does anybody know when they get started for the summer?
no.
Mountain View Farm said they plan to start farm share distributions in early June. And I'll bet you the summer farmers market would probably be pretty close to that.
Yeah. Summer market. Well, in 2023, the summer market didn't start until May 21st. So, and they already said they're full up for the winter farmers market, so they're not taking this for, that was really annoying, but I'll get there on my update.
Can we put on the next?
What's up?
I'm thinking about for our next, we're just talking about, we had started last 2 meetings ago, talking about places we want to target. And you're talking about targeting a business farmer's market, the Easthampton Farmers Market. Just a discussion about which businesses in town we're targeting and why.
Is that the farmers market?
Easthampton's Farmers Market,
Ish.
Ish.
with certain greenhouses or
Oh,
certain committees, right, like in terms of tabling at certain places.
I would take any place that you have interest in. Like the farmer's market, like from my point of view, is just central and sort of related. And I didn't have any particular purpose beyond that. It seemed like just sort of an egalitarian place where people come by and they are offering tables already. So, they like tables, so it's like a good place to table.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't have, like, we can put it on the next agenda, just curious.
I mean, it's a good thing to talk about. And there's it also depends on how much time folks want to spend doing tabling, and once we start to gather volunteer bases that we want to like allow to talk for us or with us. Okay, next, and we did get the email lists because Cassie found them for us, so great, that's the other piece. Okay, so,
Sorry, just looking at it, looks like the Easthampton Farmers Market may still have one more, the winter one to go on April 7th.
what they told me was they don't have, space.
Oh, okay.
They're not willing to give me a table there.
Got it. I was just wondering, maybe, okay. So you've already got something.
Yeah.
I received.
Yeah. Okay, so, I think Jamie and I both actually emailed, IT.
Yeah. I was doing it in the context of my other committee as well. So that's fine.
Fair enough. So what Jamie sent, he emailed this out to all of us. I did not email my thing, but we can edit the committee page, which is what I ran into. They didn't tell me a format yet. We're supposed to reach out to somebody, but Jenny and I didn't get a chance to get together and kind of put it together. It does sound like we can have like a structure. So like not just a top level page, but we can probably have sub pages off of that. So we can organize it however we want. I still think Jenny and I are going to try and get together in the near future and kind of like lay something out. I don't think I want to lean into the sub pages until we know for sure we can do it. So I might start with like basically a top page thing with a small sidebar. And then if we can do it, we can build out a structure from there. The other thing that you said, substantive changes. Yes, we can do that. And then you also asked about a Google Drive that we might be able to get from the city. And we can ask Cassie to create a shared drive in Google and then add us via our personal email addresses for control. That is only to be used for internal committee business, which is fine. I mean, anything that we want to otherwise do, we'll convert to a PDF and link from the website.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, so it's created now. I know.
I made it, so I can show y'all if you want that. If you want to see, I don't want to derail too much, but I can show it to you guys. I kind of just took a crack at trying to, let's see, how do I make this not? Here we go. I tried to take a crack at making a version of the drive. Oh, we're in Meet right now.
So we have a Google Drive. Yes.
Yes, we do. So, trying to figure out.
Oh,
I think we
right,
need to open a new window.
right, to log into a different.
He doesn't
Half of the
leave.
votes are gonna be
Yeah.
probably going to be trying to get her to get on Discord. So. It's not actually working.
Let's see if it'll let me go to.
Yes.
I know, everybody watch me struggle. But well, because I think I have to be in mind to show you what it is. Everyone close your eyes, but you should be able to get it.
That's funny. Wetlands 1984.
1992? I know. Okay. Oh, Lord. I can come back to it too if you want. Okay, yes, text me. We're very secure here in Easthampton, so that's good. Oh, didn't even do it. No.
Here, the word for pesticides, it keeps trying to spell check it for opioids. Copy that, check it for opioids. It's for-
So
Too bad for
also
my
don't-
poppies.
Okay.
Close.
No.
No.
Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. Okay, so you are gonna get an email that looks like this. I only sent it to Jamie so far, but it'll look like this. Cassie Tracker shared folder with you, Bees Committee.
Yep.
And then that was our message and then you should be able to just click open. And I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Drive, but basically this is the crap. You all will have the ability to add folders, delete folders, do whatever you want. Or you can have that ability only for some people and everyone else just have the ability to comment / view it. So, okay, cool. But yeah, so I made it administrative and I put the agendas and the minutes in here, the ones that we've generated so far, not any minutes.
Cool.
But they did it by year. So you can kind of just each year make a new folder.
Lovely.
Same thing with minutes, but I also put recordings in there if anyone wants to put them in there. And again, with the year. And then I did something for grants. And then I did maybe a shared list of funding opportunities. Oh, I think this was someone else.
That's
shared
me.
this. Oh,
Yeah,
sweet. Okay, cool. And then I put in I don't know if y'all are familiar, there's you can make a document and then anyone can get in here and type in here. And I just, as a recommendation,
Fortunately, I tried to do that before we got started, but got told that doesn't conform to public meeting law.
Well, that's what I'm wondering about with some of this.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we have to be a little bit
Couldn't all be in there
careful.
at the same time.
yeah, and then we're a quorum.
So maybe if you weren't in there at the same time, then you could do it, or just you can't use
It's,
this.
I think we can use it. I just don't think we can use it as, it's kind of got to be like the small group as the actual editors, and then and other people, we just bring it back to review it and we talk about it here at the meeting.
Okay.
Right, and you can post information to review, but you can't again, if there was kind of an ongoing.
Can't have an actual conversation.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. That does.
That's the face that I make it nice.
Yeah, because the way it works is if you're all in there and everyone's typing at the same time, you basically like chatting. So everyone can see real time as you add the things in there. So, yeah, I get why. But you guys can decide how you want to add those things. Big one is that I added the pollinator action plan itself. And then also this is the information that I could find from the development of it with Eli Block, when he's still here as the assistant planner. I put in like what I thought seemingly would be relevant. There was like invoices and stuff that I didn't upload because it didn't seem like that would be helpful. This is the email list. But most of the other information, there's a press release just as a template potentially for you all, a picture of just the cover, a JPEG of just the cover, this PDF of the cover, and then one of the flyers as an example, the slides that they use for the community meeting, and this was all the materials they used to help develop it, like example documents from other towns, Great Barrington's pollinator plan.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Oh, did you? That's awesome. For college pollinator plan, this submission, I don't know what that is, but it's by you, Owen, and then other things that happened at City Council, the climate emergency resolution that seemed relevant. Other stuff. This is just like source material. So that's what I threw in there. And I think what else I did. God, what am I doing? Don't want that. But yeah, if you were in one of these and you wanted to make a change, you just right click and you can add a document that could be shared, or you can make a new folder or upload stuff from there. And then if you wanted to add files, you just drag and drop it from your file explorer into here. It should work. Last few things, public outreach. Again, this has a lot of, that's public action plan. What am I clicking on? Public outreach, events, information materials, volunteer information once you have them. And the only other thing that I added was I found all these, like, I just threw in links to places where you might find resources. Xerxes Society, Native Plant Trust, all the heavy hitters.
Nice.
That's
Wow.
it. But someone needs to dig through and pull things out of there. But that's all I got. So hopefully that's helpful. Once I share, if it's okay with everybody for me to share to everybody in the group, then I'll just do that.
Oh, yes.
And all the content.
And so my question for education, analog brain struggling with the digital world.
Yes.
How do I find this if I'm working on my computer at home?
Yes. So what I'll do when I send you this email,
Okay.
you'll get this email that'll look like this.
Yep.
And once you have that, when you get in there, you can
Okay, so that's my entree.
that's it.
Got it.
And then you can bookmark it.
Yeah, okay.
Also, what I could do is I could send like the actual like hyperlink written all the way out, and then you could save that somewhere to get you in there as well.
Yeah,
By doing this.
If
So
you just go to drive.google.com, if you go to like my
Yeah.
drive over there, right, it's going to show you like,
it'll be
It's under
shared with you.
shared
Okay.
drives.
Yeah.
Or shared with
So,
somebody.
yeah.
Thank
once
you.
go in there. Okay, cool. Yeah.
That might actually require you to have
Yeah,
a
no problem.
Gmail account. I'm not entirely sure whether it requires a Gmail account.
I do. Oh, it does. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
So if you don't,
that's Google. Yeah.
folks, I don't think everybody, in fact, I know everybody that I'm emailing for this thing isn't using a Gmail account, so we might need a Gmail account for this one.
Sometimes you can use another account as a Google account, even if it's not Gmail, to allow you to
I haven't
access
had to
certain
do that.
things. Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually going to, in the interest of time, because Owen's only got 15 minutes left, so I'm going to skip ahead to a couple of things that Owen still has on the agenda. And then even if we want to keep going after he leaves, there's still a few things we can probably talk about, even though, we still actually have quorum if we decide to vote, so.
Okay.
Yep. Anyway, so funding sources, Owen and Jamie.
I did some just very cursory research, and again, threw a few things in the document that I put in there, looking at like what Massachusetts might have available. They have, there's lots of municipal grants available for things like conservation, parkland, stuff like that. That's kind of adjacent to what we're talking about. Nothing that's exactly for like the type of like a demo garden or like things like that necessarily. But as we get into it, there may be some opportunities for municipal or state level funding for municipalities or something that overlaps. And then I put so she has it up there. I just copied some stuff from there. There is a grant information session coming up for one of them there, which is a more like acquiring land for conservation, passive recreation purposes. which again, if we were doing like a demonstration that required acquisition of new land or something that we don't already have access to, could be interesting. So there are some sessions there to learn more about that. And parkland acquisitions or renovations. There's a few others in Massachusetts that are relevant. And then there's a couple other, sort of like Cassie, I found a couple other things and threw a couple links in there for future reference to go back and dig a little bit deeper.
Let's say build a new park. I wonder if we could convince them that a walkable garden is essentially a park.
Yeah, or it could be a renovation, right? If there's something, there's a couple little pocket parks.
Oh, yeah, renovate it, yeah.
Yeah, do some renovations. It includes a native planting or something pollinator related.
We can make that argument.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I wonder if you could use CPA funds.
Well, yeah, so
that's something I do not have expertise in. So.
Yeah, so I've had a few conversations. I'm going to have some more, but I don't see why you couldn't use CPA funds both for design and implementation, especially of existing city property. So I did have like a small brief conversation about that, but I want to drill into that more. And then I had a really brief conversation with the mayor about, the demo site, as well as some of the ideas that a few of us have talked about like a pathway down the bike path. But, and she had mentioned something about how that somehow might fit into the climate action plan, and that then there might be funding available through that avenue. But I'm going to, again, spend a little bit more time in April getting into that.
Yep. Okay, great.
Yeah, we have to wait on the green climate action plan, like sort of green communities piece. We're still waiting. Like DOER doesn't have their latest grant guidelines out yet, and part of that is there's this new climate champion designation that climate leader that cities can go for. Most of the time, that stuff tends to be around greenhouse gas reduction or emission reduction specifically, but there may be. Again, we have ways within the climate for the things that like parallel tracks or things that have dual outcomes or something like that.
Great. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, sorry, wheels are turning in the background. Also, designing them? I think you just got plants and stuck them in the ground. Like, what is this design? Okay, Jenny and Owen, potential ordinance focus areas.
Yeah, so we had a short conversation about how we wanted to move forward with this. And I think where we landed was that we felt it would be possible to bundle a bunch of the ideas that we discussed or floated in our last meeting and just kind of submit a single ordinance that included some guidance on planting native street trees, an ordinance concerning native plants, and I'll go into more detail on each of these, but these are just the big subject areas. Native street trees and native plants are kind of the two biggies. For native street trees, I think what we wanted to suggest, the subject line here be requiring that new street trees on city property and in commercial and industrial zoning should be selected from a list of native trees. That list, or there is a list that exists that Owen and the former tree warden put together a couple of years ago. So that I think would be a wonderful place to start. And there's a lot of resources that we could pull from if we want to, think about that from the start. But we are not starting from scratch there. We could also think about offering guidelines or encouragement for private landowners towards choosing native species, but we were thinking that that would be less of a mandate and more of an encouragement.
Right. Yeah.
I can pause there if folks want to comment on the street tree thing.
I want to comment. Right. In Springfield, when a tree is cut down, the city offers to help the homeowner with stump removal and then a free tree that's a native species to replace.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's very cool. I don't know how there are details, but I thought that was very strong to encourage folks to.
That's fantastic.
Plant trees.
That's how
Where did you say that?
Springfield.
And Northampton also has a tree fund that property owners pay into when they're removing public shade trees, and then that's one of the funds that planting new trees comes out of. So like similar, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how it's funded, but when old trees have to come down, the city helps get rid of the stuff and plant a new. Cool.
was gonna say that might be worth looking into how that gets how that comes together. I think I don't suppose you would be willing to like dig into that a little bit for us.
I can find out.
Okay.
What? Yes.
I might have a contact information for the Springfield one at least.
Okay.
Great.
I know their new conservation agent used to be really related to the tree situation, so I can give you his card actually.
Okay.
If you want.
Oh, I was going to say I can add this document to the drive. So all this information, this whole 1 page of information, I can figure out what it is.
Okay, so I could just add a little corollary to our conversation. Is that so? When we when we first started talking about this initiative, I had a conversation with Jessica Allen, who is the two former planners, about how does one go about basically requiring the municipality and commercial and industrial about using native plants. And she had recommended, so DHCD, when they do projects, basically, they just have a mandate that they have to use native plants. It's just like really a simple statement. And she had suggested probably in terms of any sort of ordinance we do, certainly within the city and maybe with, like commercial industrial, it's a similar thing. It's just part of the design standards. Like, thou, if you shall, and then have a list that they can pick from, which would have to come up with an ordinance and having some sort of a review process because of climate change and shifts. So that was kind of how we landed there. I think that, well, I'll stop there because I have a feeling you're going to probably get into some of the other stuff we talked about next, and then I can add anything in also. But but that's, I mean, it seems like Somerville has this really complicated ordinance. It's like, if you're in this area, you use 50%, but just use native plants. Yeah. So, and I think that and you'll see some of the lists that we have, they're so broad that it's pretty simple. So I'll stop there. Turn it back over to Jenny.
I mean, I think I want to hit the important parts of what I was going to say. New city-owned landscaping to be composed of a minimum percentage. Is that percentage 100? Is it 75? Percentage of native plants. And there's some nuance there for how we could approach it. Something that I've been thinking about is just like, I wonder if framing it as all city-owned property is an opportunity to demonstrate our values as a city. So they could all become demonstration gardens in a way, especially if there was like maybe a little signage element that shared what was going on in that space. So I think that's kind of an interesting concept. The Somerville guidelines are one possible model. They offer different minimum percent categories for different types of landscapes, like athletic fields that are turf. We want to keep it as simple as possible. An idea that Owen brought up that is, I think, pretty similar to how a lot of conservation commissions in other towns operate, and maybe Easthampton, I'm just not familiar with how conservation works right here, is having a mitigation ratio to mandate a percentage of an area to be planted with native plants. Like if you have 100 square feet of turf, mandating that some area of that, maybe 3 to 1, maybe 1 to 3, whatever, say 25 feet needs to be planted with native plants, and then 75 feet remains as lawn, or whatever. I'm just throwing out numbers there. Is there a better way to explain that?
No, I think that's exactly what we had talked about. Like, basically, if you have large areas of turf that are not athletic fields, then basically to kind of bake it into the ordinance that, like an X amount of, what you just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm covering what we talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like, say, and it should probably be over a certain amount. Like, so like if you have a tiny patch of like turf lawn, that's not in the city, it's not a big deal. But if you have like X amount of square feet, then you should have to have a buffer or whatever you want to call it. That's, planted of natives.
I mean, to a certain extent, I would almost argue that like a super small area, you get even more benefit because you're not like going to the super small area with your oversized lawnmower just to whack it down and then coming back. So like, I almost think small areas would be a good place to start. But
well, actually, that kind of parlays into something we were talking about. Like, are there certain applications within the city that involve green spaces that should be mandated? So actually, you actually have a point where if you have a postage stamp area why not just, right, why not, why put turf grass on it? Why not just plant it with native plants? So that would be.
Something you don't actually have to do maintenance and send loud, obnoxious lawnmowers all over the city for.
Right.
One of the layers in the pollinator action plan, and I can probably get the data on this, pulls out turf as like a GIS layer. So we could pretty easily see where there are lawns in the city, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, cool. That'd be great.
Another distinction that we were talking about was between restoration projects, which seem like they pretty much should be 100% native plants, versus design projects, which like theoretically we could have a lower level for people to, you know, have some ornamentals that are non-native if they really have to. And we were also thinking about if this is an opportunity to include guidelines for habitat-friendly maintenance, which was another one of the Xerxes areas. I feel like there's other ways that we can bring that up. So if we don't want to pack too much into this and keep it as streamlined as possible, I just wanted to bring that up as a possibility. So we can, you know, keep hashing through how exactly we want to set that up. But I think those are kind of the major areas that we want to start thinking about. I'll mention again that the pollinator action plan suggested that we could use zoning operation and maintenance plans as another way to implement this for new development applications. They could be tied in with stormwater management, which I think makes a lot of sense. So yeah, putting that out there as another vehicle. And again, we could offer guidelines and encouragement for private landowners to choose native species and maintain turf areas in a more habitat-friendly way. So we were thinking that an ordinance could include a brief statement about how, you know, why we're doing this, why native street trees and plants create habitat, what the function is, how they save energy, how they're cost effective, blah, blah, blah. Some of the other ordinances that we're looking at as models include definitions of key terms, probably important, a list of approved or suggested species. And again, we've got really good starting places for that. This could be a place that we offer maintenance guidelines, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get to the website stuff. And a prompt to review in some period of time, maybe 10 years, whatever, to make sure that it is in line with climate requirements in the future.
And research.
Yes.
Research has this tendency to run away from us.
Right. So yeah, that's what we were thinking would make sense to include in this. Curious if folks have other ideas about additional areas that we should be thinking about.
I mean, I think that's a really good, like, I think it's a really good start. Obviously, I think we just need to like keep going on that and like start writing the language. Yeah, I mean, the one thing about like small areas seem to me to be an even better target than large areas because like it reduces the amount that people have to run around on lawnmowers and stuff. You know, also, you know, there may be some, as part of this, I don't know if we want to think about like suggestions for things like, you know, garden cleanup or anything. Cause like one of the things that like people traditionally do is want to like clean up their garden, whatever that means. And like cut down all the like stalks and all that other stuff. And there's an element of, I think, until we've had enough time to talk to people and like change hearts and minds, like that will be sort of expected. But the flip side of that is that decreases the benefit we get out of reduced maintenance if we're like having, you know, Department of Public Works or whoever's responsible for maintaining these things running around and doing those things. And it also decreases the actual efficacy of what we're trying to do in terms of like native insect support because, or animals in general. I was watching another Rebecca McMacken video recently where they had left a native hydrangea and ended up with a song sparrow nest inside because it was left and not cleaned up. So I think there's a balance to be struck there. And the only other question I have is whether or not it might behoove, like, and this is literally just a question, is whether we want to kind of swing for the fences in terms of like percentage and stuff on the first round, or whether we want to take a more incremental approach, like, you know, have this first round be a little bit more like less all-inclusive and then do a review sooner rather than late, you know, like 3 years instead of 10 years and maybe hope to increase it at that point if we're doing well or if we've gotten a, you know, sort of more buy-in from like DPW and people's thoughts about cleanup and all that other stuff.
I think an important, bullet point here was made maybe last meeting that about the buy-in and that it's a conversation instead of a ordinance or demand or.
Mhm, yeah.
That collaborative element is so important. We have some lot of exciting ideas, but buy-in and collaboration with all stakeholders.
And to expand on your point, I mean, personally, I feel like I'm low on the learning curve and I have a lot of learning to do. And I think the public can probably teach me a lot. So that leads me to think, not swing for the fences, but to do something that's gets us off to a good start and have an early review time, which will hopefully benefit from that feedback from the public. And, you know, whatever we do next can be that much more well-informed.
I will say the next thing I was going to say was we have just like a really short list of next steps. And the first thing on that would be to open conversations with DPW and DOT. And I think that was maybe an item that you read the DPW guy.
I don't think so.
I went with that. I think our Cleveland Parks, yeah.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree.
Parks is another important one because we have to, the folks that are going to be, we're going to be asking or to maintain plant, et cetera. Like we can do some with volunteer backfill. And that's another thing that we're not going to get to before Owen has to go, which is a bit of a shame. You're actually over time, I feel.
There's a few more things that we can talk about.
But I did want to talk about, like, at some point, maybe either at this meeting or at some point in the future, I want to talk about like sort of like relationship to a volunteer organization. Like the Manhattan Committee has Friends of the Manhattan Trail. And basically at this point, I strongly feel like we need some kind of volunteer org to pair with that we're going to have to create. And again, I don't know how much of it, like what we can, like would literally be happy to go home and start like looking into forming a 501(c) or whatever today. I even have a name that I want to call it, but that has to be not just bees, actually. It's play on, it's kind of a triple play.
Hey.
Yeah. Triple play. I already have a, so last year at the Manhattan cleanup, I went out and we did some invasive removal when we got like 6 people to come out. It was pretty great. I had started an email list for folks interested in doing that, and then I sort of just like ran out of energy or time or whatever. But the email list was called Not Just Butterflies, and I already have people on that list. And I could just convert it to Not Just Bees, and then that could be sort of the other question is, if we're going to do a volunteer organization, does it need to be, an official nonprofit or charity or whatever, or can it just be like an ad hoc volunteer organization?
Probably could be. I mean, that's something that Jenny and I talked about is so how do you get buy-in from residential is you have some sort of thing like, obviously on the website, here's a few examples of native gardens, small, medium, large, maybe even doing like some neighbors helping neighbors events where we pick like a couple properties and we help install the gardens for people. We recruit other community groups like Scouts and say, hey, here's a site. Like, do you think you could, if we give you the materials, can you plant here and maintain it? So yeah, I think that's definitely something to talk about ongoing, really formulate that and figure out how we're going to make that work.
And the other thing is we did another sort of informal cleanup where we just showed up and started doing invasive removal again, not on the same day. And we had a bunch of people coming by and like asking who we were, asking like, did we have contact info? And at the time we didn't. And like, so I think there's clearly a bunch of people that are interested in doing this stuff. So yeah, if folks are okay with it, I will just run forward with the Not Just Bees idea as sort of like an ad hoc group for startsies. And then like we can build that out. And if this one, I think I do want to put to a vote because I want it to sort of be like when we're doing it, I want to be able to say it's also related to the Manhattan or the Easthampton Bees Committee. Not formally, but I do want to like say that it has the formal, actually it is kind of formal support of the Manhattan Bees, or why do I keep saying that? Easthampton Bees Committee. Okay, so for that one, I guess a motion to support Not Just Bees.
Wait, I don't capture that. Not Just Bees, so you want to make a subcommittee called Not Just Bees?
No, that's not a committee, just like a volunteer org.
separate from the actual city committee, just something that would be off to the side.
So why are we voting on it? It's not part of the-
Well, because I want to be able to say that it's like, it has the blessing of the committee if we're like out there on the manhand, like doing invasive cleanup or something. Owen?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of part of, end up being part of the purview of the committee, is it would be like a running agenda item, is somehow through the committee, there'd be that community interface that would be part of, like, there'd be some oversight or direction that would be provided by the committee to help foster that community group.
Yeah.
In my thought.
I mean, I don't really know how, like, the manhand does it with the Friends of the Manhand. But there's like volunteer, it's a volunteer org that's separate from the Friends of the Manhand committee, but related. I mean, we don't have to do this right now. I think it's something that we're going to need, like a volunteer organization somehow. Jenny?
It also seems like the kind of thing that if we're having a sign up list for interest is another like box people could check to indicate that they want to get involved.
Right.
So it seems pretty germane to what we're thinking about.
So a community interface group to organize volunteers.
Yeah.
Volunteers for anything that comes within the scope of what you're asking.
Like, like Owen's talking about, like some, pay it forward sorts of things where you volunteer once and then the group might come and volunteer, like help you with your house. I'd like to have like ongoing, like one thing I would like to do at some point in the distant future is like see if we can like talk to the manhand and just get like sort of official approval, just like anytime we go see invasives anywhere along the manhand, go out there and tear them down. Like we have a lot of this. The nice thing about invasive removal is it doesn't require any investment. It just requires a few tools and some labor. Unless you want to bring like some Roundup, but you disagree.
Well, that was the face I was making. Sorry, just that pesticide application licenses are required for applying pesticides, and sometimes a really low level of a glyphosate or something like that is really necessary to make removal effective in cases of things like Japanese knotweed or bittersweet. So like you can rip stuff out all you want, but if they regenerate from roots, like it's not useful without pesticides, and that is regulated. So that's the only caution I would offer.
I should say also, if you're trying to do invasives removal in areas that are jurisdictional of the Conservation Commission, it can be a form of alteration that would require a permit. I know, but it can be like seem counterintuitive to be something that you have to do before, but how we've had other projects get permits for doing large scale invasive removal. But certainly if that's on city property, you probably would need to get a permit. But I can give more advice to that once you have an idea of where you'd want to do it. It would only matter if it was within wetland areas, jurisdictional wetland areas, which would be potentially related to the Panhandle, up to 200 feet. So, yeah. To consider.
Owen?
Yeah, just to put it out there that, I've been running the cleanup now for a few years, but it'd be nice to be able to bring it on the umbrella of a committee so that you could have more buy-in, you can have committee making these decisions, organizing these things. And then again, since you have this resident kind of group, and that so it automatically helps feed participation in these things. So I think would be an interesting idea. Yeah. So, would you want to formulate this a little bit more, and then we can vote on the next meeting?
Yeah, it sounds like we probably need to. So put that on that.
And I could talk about cleanup really quick, and then I probably need to go. So cleanup's May 5th. That's all I can say. No, I mean,
What you mean?
so citywide cleanup is May 5th. It's going to be 9 to 1. I'll put out a sign up sheet soon. I'll include all of you and I'll post on Facebook and stuff like that. Again, like I think at some point, hopefully the goal for 2025 would be this committee takes over organizing that. We plan as a committee. I have kind of some preset cleanup areas I do every year. If there's some more, generally it's just picking up trash, but if there's ideas that people want to send to me for other, things such as invasive removal, like please let me know.
I want to do the invasive removal again.
Yeah, it's just But I obviously encourage people to sign up. If there's sites that you think need attention, let me know. It meets at the 50 Payson parking lot and then kind of goes out from there. There's sites all over the city. I guess like I was saying, Court Health, we'll put together that mailer because I think in coordination with that, people can pick up their no mow signs there and other things. And then the other thing looking forward is that there will be another cleanup. The Source to Sea cleanup this year will be in conjunction with Second River Roads Festival. So that's in September. It will be, it's going to be September 8th to be exact. And so I don't know if any of you were there last year, but so they have the River Roads Festival the day before, which is a big music festival. It's with Gar Williams and others. And so she'll be involved again. And then the next day there's a cleanup in coordination with the Connecticut River Conservancy for the Source to Sea, but now we do it also with River Road. So the artists participate, and we had like 40 or 50 people last year. It was amazing. So I guess we can all, I'm happy to, like, I don't need to own any of this stuff, so I'm actually happy we have this committee now. We can really plan this together going forward for the 8th, but I'm happy to kind of like take care of the citywide cleanup because that's in May, and obviously with input from many of you along the way. So it's a officially unofficial participation from the Bees Committee for the citywide cleanup, and then we'll incorporate, I think, into the committee going forward, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, question for clarification. May 5th is a Sunday. Did you perhaps mean Saturday the 4th?
No, because did I say Saturday?
No, you didn't say
Oh.
Saturday. I was just noticing.
So we had moved it a while ago to the 5th because Northampton Pride is on Saturday, and we wanted to make sure that there wasn't a conflict with a pretty big regional LGBTQ event. And so I can't remember when we officially did that, but I pushed for the city to do that because I didn't want people to have to choose between the two.
Okay.
So we can do both.
I thought it was going to be a Star Wars May the 4th to be with you thing.
Oh, well, so there you are. I mean, it is Cinco de Mayo. I think it's something that's not offensive to the culture there, but either way, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't know if anyone has any questions about that, and I'm going to try to reach out about signups for that too. But if you all have thoughts about if you want to lead a site, if there's a certain area that you need clean and needs attention, like let me know.
So that would be kind of our first deadline for having our sign up asks and stuff especially for ordering lawn signs.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to, if we're going to do the sign up list, we probably need to do that next week or something. And then maybe talk to, you're probably like a Google form, Nathan, huh?
No, I've never done Google Forms.
Can you maybe tell me that?
Gladly.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I'll have a meeting with that. Yep.
Cool.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, I apologize. I have to run. I'll leave that sign here if anyone wants to take it. I don't have a stake for it, but I can drop it off. Does anyone want it?
Or in my garage.
I'm going
here.
I kind of do. I live on kind of a busy corner, and I think it's good to show.
Do you have stakes for those kind of signs?
Is it corrugated?
Yeah, it's just those H brackets. If you don't, just send me a message because I have like 100 of them, and I can I'll just drop it off to you. But yeah, please take it, and then
I have a permanent one in my yard, so.
Yeah, it's like carpeted stone.
It's having actual no mowers. It just, I don't know.
All yours. Anyway, and I have a few extras if people from the committee want it. So, okay, well, thanks. Thank you. Take my leave. You still have a quorum, so thanks everyone. Jay, I'll reach out about that, and we'll get that done after I've got time. Like, I just have to get through Wednesday, and then thank you. So
Yeah, see you later.
all right, bye everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Cool. Okay, back to IT resources a little bit. Just because I asked a couple of different questions than Jamie did. So or making changes to the existing webpage, submit a request to technology at easthampton.gov. It's possible to add additional pages if necessary. Facebook post requests, contact Lindsay Sekula. May not be published immediately, especially during busy peak periods, so plan your requests in advance as viable. Notify me. We can kind of use it to push notifications if we want to, but
Use what? Sorry.
the notify me feature of the website. But it has to be coordinated, and I honestly can't, unless it's an event, I don't think we're probably gonna wanna go
Right.
So I'm sorry, so that kind of quickly, there's a city Facebook that would contact Cindy.
Lindsay.
Lindsay Sekula.
Lindsay, yes, the mayor's.
I can forward you this if you want. I'm just reading from an email.
So Facebook post, and then there was another,
There's a feature on the website that says like notify me, and if people sign up for that, they get specific notifications from the city that we could potentially send messages out on, but
Yeah.
we would have to pick our spot for that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be easier, especially since it sounds like from earlier conversations, to just use either Google Groups or there's a couple of other email listserv sorts of things. Another advantage of those is people can both sign up for those easily and unsubscribe if they don't like what we're sending out, et cetera. So
that's anyone, general public can sign up for that notification.
Yeah, I think it's just on there, right? You get like, I think it's where you get like notifications about like, you know, if there's road closures or if there's like somewhere there, you know, store like parking ban is in effect type thing, you at least start to get on that.
it's got a bunch of different categories. I signed up for notifications about just about every committee meeting. So that's what I use it for.
Yeah, maybe for like the cleanup day, might be worth putting something out about
That'd be a
that.
good
I
idea.
try to get volunteers. And
Yeah. Send it out to. Yeah, I'm not sure, because people generally sign up for specific categories. I don't know what we would be able to set up. But if we just had an event page like they did recently for like the Main Street tactical urbanism stuff, they
Right.
sent out a notify me for that. So
Right.
for the cleanup day, I think we could probably do that more broadly. So I'll mention that to Owen and see if like he's got a like flyer or anything that would be out on blast for that. I asked about like calendaring in the event that we got to the point that we had stuff. We can put stuff on the general city calendar. We will not get our own section like the Council of Aging has, just in case anyone's curious. Like, so again, it's just like submit, like we have an event and they'll put it on the city calendar or whatever, and then that'll go through all the usual city channels. They don't offer any sort of subdomains, so we can't like set up our own like server or whatever, and then have the Easthampton DNS.us. So which was one other. I asked if we could get like, you know, bees.easthampton.gov or whatever, and then just like have a, you know, virtual private server someplace, and they said no. So if we want to have our own like dedicated web page, you know, website as opposed to just a page on the Easthampton page, we've got to do it ourselves. Which then gets into who's paying, which I would be happy to do that for some period of time.
Yeah.
But so that'll be a thing. If we decide we want something a little bit more in depth, if we want more like forms, and one thing that I thought would be cool would be the ability to have something where people can say what, you know, plants they have in their yard, because I'd actually love to get to a point where we could like submit to a, you know, academic researcher or whatever and say like, these are the gaps that you have and you need more of these plants, and then try and get people to volunteer to plant those or something. That's and then they recommended we talk to the Massachusetts Pond and see how they manage communication.
Yeah, they probably have, like, I think they're email based, right? Their communication. I know I get the occasional email like every month or two.
Yeah, I don't know. And we already talked about paving organization materials, and I think so. I would like to be involved with like just starting to come up with like sort of a packet of things and like a pattern. I think that'll be kind of another sort of takeaway.
Which item is this under?
This is paving organization and materials number.
The 8.
Yeah.
action item.
Does anybody else want? Oh,
Well, I would just say that some of the websites, like the Xerxes Society and others, have like already things that people could like, someone wanted to, you could print out a bunch of them and just bring them to the table and you just be like, you can take this home with you, just hire, that's about pollinator gardening.
yeah.
So when you like dig through those links that I showed in that one piece, maybe could be helpful for there, but probably and Mass Audubon I know has good stuff too to
Right.
print out and just hand to people.
Is the cooperative extension still an active, good source for information like that?
Is the which?
Cooperative extension.
Mostly based out of UMass.
Yeah.
Oh, probably. I did link something from UMass up there on there, so it seemed like they had things like that potentially.
If we can go back to the website for a second, I had pulled together one of my like little homework assignments from last time was to kind of put together a really basic outline for what we might have on the page. Would this be an appropriate time to share that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We've talked about a lot of this already, but some way to get people signed up to an email list. However we host that, TBD. Some resources for a native plant list, which is one of the Xerxes requirements, and I can add this to the drive too, but I've pulled a couple of pre-formatted like plant palettes that are appropriate for Hampshire County. That might be a really easy place to just like scoot over. Similarly, IPM integrated pest management resources. Xerxes has some really good stuff. The Mass Pollinator Network, which used to be independent and recently got sucked into NOFA, so is sort of in a period of transition, and I think they'll have more resources soon. But they have a really good page on like gardening without pesticides, that kind of thing. For upcoming events, if we can't have a separate calendar, like maybe we can just have like a little, like a bullet list of upcoming lists just to have everything in the same place. A link to download the pollinator plan. I think probably it would be helpful to have like a short statement of like who we are, what we're doing, what our goals are, which I can try to put together. I think there's probably something on there already that is like the one sentence version. A link to the text of the resolution and any other ordinances. And if there's any asks that we have about like supporting the passage, like show up to whatever hearing it is, if you'd like to support it. And finally, a way to contact us. And I've just added, like, if we have social media, we should probably have that on our website. And I think this could all be like super simple. Like, it does not have to be fancy. And like, I'm totally happy to live with it being plain text. I think in sort of a next iteration, once we just like have the basics up, there's lots of other stuff that would be really fun to have on it. And I think that would be useful. And we can maybe get into that when we're ready to. But like, if there's a way, probably the volunteer thing would be like important to figure out for people to be able to get involved. I don't know if there's like, say we order yard signs twice a year, like that kind of thing.
Or even have some sort of like rolling capability.
Yeah, once we get 50 orders
or if like we have a
whatever.
local artist, they just like we can literally have a form that submits directly to the artist.
Exactly. Exactly. I would also really love some way to collect data from participants. Like, I wasn't even thinking the level of granularity about what did they plant, but just like how many people have like, sort of said like, yes, I plant things in this way and I'm interested, or some kind of map. I love maps. I don't know.
So there is, so I emailed this out, I think earlier, but Homegrown National Park has that map built in. And it has it doesn't like have quite as much information as I would be interested in, but it does, like for the map piece it has it. So we could just point people to that. And
Just if it's helpful, this is the those current city website for Bees Committee. And I got here by going to government boards and committees A through E and then selecting it. And it just lists who y'all are. Like you said, that one sentence, the ordinances, and then these two fun things. But it can be, if you want, I don't know if this is too much of a deep dive. I can show you what we do have for the CAP. Which kind of gets into like when we do events and what I show there. Where is it? There we go. So whenever I have an event, I make it the main picture that you see. This is like huge and crazy right now, but that is what's going on. And then I just date it and say, here's the most recent thing. Here's all the information about it. Then I have recent documents and then the old things with their old dates. So this was our workshop. You can put a recording right in there. old other pictures, press releases,
What
things like
format
that.
do you send that to whoever you need to send it to?
I have the login
Oh, you
to
have
just
to,
get
okay.
in. So I
Is
don't
it
know
like a
if anybody else-
CMS on the back end or what is it?
No, it's very like user friendly, as it were. You don't just type in any like, I don't know what that acronym is. I guess you say.
Content management system. It's
So,
user friendly,
okay.
user
So
friendly,
maybe
user friendly.
You're not actively coding.
No,
No,
God,
no, of
no,
course
God,
not.
no, yeah.
No, no, I
So we
didn't
have
think
like
you had-
widgets that I just drag in.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it'll be like, oh, I want this to be a text widget, or I want this one to be a picture, whatever.
Okay.
And then, so that's like one way that it could look. And there's probably much more that you could do. And then the other option, like I do for the Conservation Commission, which I do need to update it, is, this is our overview. This is like an explanation of when we do meetings, our most recent agendas and minutes, the members, contact information. And then I have all like these forms and all the current applications and past applications. And then like, if you clicked on one of these, it would just take you to a folder that gives you access to all the associated files that you can download.
Okay.
And look at.
So we could use that for like sample planting plans or maintenance
Right.
guidelines or the native plant list or all the kind of information that we want to share. That's
All the
awesome.
information is there. It's,
Yeah.
a little like simple, but it's enough information. And if someone wants to do a deeper dive, they can.
I think, and this is my workaround from like, I can't manage these, or like I can change them, but these just link to other pages that are like this, like Board Public Works. So
Yeah.
a lot of websites, it'll have like a drop down. You can like kind of go to other parts, but yeah, I don't think you can do that here. I don't know if you could. There might be a way, but if anyone ever wants to like sit down with me, I can show you like log
Okay.
in and show you how I do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm allowed to like do it for you or things like that. But I don't know. It sounds like they're going to give you your own access, which would be better.
I don't think they're gonna get, I think it's more of a, we send them the
Request.
content they want to put in it
Oh,
and then
okay.
they put it in there for us.
Okay.
It would actually be better if we could just like, figure out what it is on the back end and talk to you about it or whatever. 'Cause,
Yeah. And I
like,
don't,
I'm not sure, for instance, if we wanted to have the double columns there, I'm not sure how we would communicate that, but that's the thing that's still outstanding on me to like ask.
and
And
yeah,
figure out like how they're intending to do that. Because, yeah, if they would give us a login, it would probably be easier.
but I know that there was issues with the previous website with management people adding things, which I don't assume that you all would create any issues like that. But I think that's just the reasoning
Sure.
why they're like, we need to
Yeah.
have it be this way. So I don't want to step on any toes on their end of
Yeah,
how they
course.
do that. But if it's helpful just to see the possibilities, we can poke around in there together. I don't
Yeah.
think that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
Great. Thank you.
Do you have more on or is that the?
There's lots of other things that I could mention as nice to haves, but I think they are all sort of a long way off in the future. And I'm happy to kind of keep focused on the bare bones version at this point. I can kind of keep plugging on this. And yeah, Cassie, let's connect.
Cool. Yeah.
And then so for the farmer's market, I sent them an email. It was like, I didn't get anything back for a week. And then, I got an email for somebody else and I emailed them and they're like, oh, email the email address that you used the first time and they'll write you back and tell you how to get a table. So that was also a week later, and then a week after that. And then I even forwarded that email to the first email. And then a week later, they got back to me and said, it's too late. So that was fun.
Could they tell you like when they plan to start up officially?
I did not ask, but they basically said like, we will take applications for summer. So just send us like what your availability is when you want to do it. And I wanted to ask other folks whether or not they would be willing to be one of the tabling participants, because if I'm the only person doing it, I probably don't want to do it more than like once a month. If other people are willing to do it, we could do it more often. And, it would honestly probably be ideal, at least for the first few of them, to have like a couple of people there at the same time. So you could like bounce ideas off for each other, learn things about that. So, basically who wants to table sometimes if we're going to do Easthampton, like,
I would say first get them to say, yes, you can.
they said, yes, we can. We just have to tell them what dates we want.
Yeah, I think I don't know if they have to, or they do reserve a table for like community groups, kind of like.
And that's the category they were putting us in, is they're going to put us in a community
And
group
what day
category.
of the week is the farmer's market?
It's
Sunday morning,
Sunday,
that's right, Sunday from 9 to 1.
The summer one as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Hold on, I had it up. Sundays 10 to 2.
10 to 2, okay.
Elodie, did you have a concern about us doing the Easthampton Farmers Market?
The question that I brought up earlier is why targeting that business over other businesses, and what is going to be on our tabling, and if we're signing up for a day that is a tabling in the near future, having materials that are reviewed and appropriate and we'll agree on prior to that, rushing forward. So those are kind of all the things that I was thinking about in regards to tabling and materials and why particular business.
So I would take any business that you want to suggest. I didn't even think about this as a business. To be honest, it was just like a farmer's market, which I guess is a business, but I wasn't thinking of it that way. It's just like a farmer's market that I go to sometimes. And that's the extent of, and it's a fairly large number of people and it's open air and people come through and they chat and other people do this sort of same thing at that. That is the extent of the thought process. I think it needs to be someplace that has decent traffic. Anything that you think we should be tabling, I'm certainly open to tabling. I'm not targeting anything.
No, just as a committee, if we're tabling as a committee, then to be clear, what is being asked of people to come up and sign up and be clear about what the agenda is. And I know there's still things that are, like we talked about, materials and signage and
so it's not going to start until apparently the end of May. So we have at least one more meeting. I was going to just start coming up with that kind of recommended pattern, like a little blurb that we can kind of have to memorize and just say when people walk up to us. And then from that point on, it's kind of like just a rolling conversation. Obviously I think something that I would intend to do, and again, as part of a packet or whatever we want to call it, training materials, if you want to say, I would say we should be jotting down things that we don't have the answers to as individuals so that we can try and answer them the next time and add them to our repertoire. Kind of keep to a certain extent, I think we should kind of have a clipboard with supporter, not supporter, just a count of what kind of interactions we're having and stuff, so that we have something to guide us in getting better at this. Because what the purpose of this sort of thing is to just inform people and to a lesser extent convince people about what we're doing, that there is value to this, that this is something they might want to participate in, that here's the resources that are available. And any sort of convincing exercise takes practice and takes, understanding of what people's, pain points or worries or whatever are. So I think having some way to sort of take in that information as you're talking to people and take some notes and then add it to a document would probably be a good idea. But I can put all of this into a recommended thing. Or a sort of a training guesswork kind of faculty thingy. Guesswork, but
So I captured your action steps, create a blurb to start conversations with public, to convince people, to collect information about people, and a training.
Not about people, about reactions. About people's
About their
reactions.
interests and where their interests may overlap with what we're trying to do or overlap.
Right.
Actually, we're jumping off, might be the survey results that are included upon your action plan. But again, that was a sample size of people who wanted to go to the event and were willing to respond to the survey. But that could help give you a guess of what to bring to the meeting, to the first tabling.
Yeah.
If we have if we use this as an opportunity to share some of these educational materials, if everyone takes the native plant handout and nobody takes the pest management one, that's some information.
Right.
Or if we have little flyers for upcoming events. If we have the next schedule.
Yeah.
That's right, like that, like there's so many great ideas, but to have it kind of more fleshed out in a way that's being presented.
Yeah, I mean,
That the materials are aligning with our action steps and that, yes, but that,
yeah, so I think having something that has has some guidance there about what we're going to talk about and try and do is a good idea. I don't necessarily think we should wait for that to be super polished before we start trying to go. I think we're going to learn by doing it in a particular case. So I think, so I think having a guidance set of docs where we all read through, we have that we've agreed on, and then iterating off of that every meeting or two, given some of the feedback, given, some of the notes I think maybe a good idea, or a thing I will put in there as a suggestion for the guidance for this is take notes, put your notes at the end of this document, tabled on X day. This is what, this is the feedback I got from people. And then we can incorporate that into sort of our knowledge going forward. And the future discussions going forward. And, anything like this, it's about having a conversation over a long period of time. You may run into the same person over the course of multiple tapings, and they may start off by disagreeing, and you may find a different argument that you may be able to present to them if they come back and talk to you again. So yeah, it's a conversational thing. I don't think we can have, something regimented per se, but we can certainly have guidance.
Doing stuff with a plan cell before that will give some focus or some direction to what we're doing. Help that for future events as well.
Agree. Yep. And I also think we should probably try and get in at cultural chaos too.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want? I have that number 10, cultural chaos. What's
I just think we should add a list of things we should try and table. Just go and do the tabling thing.
should someone from this committee attend cultural chaos committee?
So Easthampton City Arts.
So it is Easthampton City Arts, so Pasadena as well. But the planning department had a table. We did it for the climate action plan at Cultural Chaos, and all we did was just ask if we could have a table. And it wasn't we didn't have to go to the planning meetings. Okay. We just reached out to, I think it was Pasadena, but it might have been someone else who was on that and just said can we be one of the tables? There likely will be another city table at the next one. I think that was it was successful. There's enough projects going on in the planning department that they did it again. If they're looking for things, this could be that, but maybe you guys want to have your own table.
I mean, that'd be
better.
I don't know. Would it be better to?
I think it would be better to sort of share, but
yeah.
It's up to you. Well, so then I guess that'll be the question is, will our planning table have room? And that's what I'll need to figure out.
And with the energy committee too, with the climate action plan, and we may have some aggregation stuff and things like that we want to be putting out there. So maybe we can get multiple tables.
Maybe we get two tables next to each other.
Oh yeah.
Smorgasbord of city stuff.
So a logistical question. I mean, do we have access to these tables and where they are stored?
We're talking about the physical tables.
Pardon?
You're talking about physically a table.
Yeah.
Well, they'll assign us a space and they'll have the tables cultural chaos.
They will assign you the space. So
No, you need
my
bad.
so it's kind of nestled in things, but so it's the cultural chaos committee, they're running the show. They assigned us a square.
Yeah.
And in that square, in the planning department, we brought our tables and our little tent thingy and our poster.
Okay.
And we set it up. But then if you guys needed those things, maybe if you don't have them, you don't have a budget, maybe it would make more sense than to kind of partner up with.
That's where I'm thinking the sharing and partnering with people who have that and on a hot sunny day, that little sunshade makes a world of difference.
So it could be, I think it's a worthy thing to think about. I think it's hard right now because we don't have a planning director. And it was,
Okay.
but it was Jeff Bagg. He kind of championed that of being like, okay, who's gonna be at our table? What are we gonna have there? And what are we gonna try to highlight? So like at the last Cultural Chaos, we did the climate action plan and we did, because we were explicitly trying to get people to do a survey at the time. So it was like, I have a thing I'm trying to get people to do. And then the other one was for, one of the green infrastructure plans that they were trying to get people to understand about and also give feedback on. So that was like a reason why those are the ones included, but I bet we could do it in a way that we could even have more of them, but it would likely might be the call of whoever the next planning director is, which hopefully they'll have one well before then.
Sure.
But that's the thing, I can't like make the call of who's going to be included there, but I certainly can't try to advocate for y'all and be like, it's me there, but then tell you like, now's the time to like.
Right,
request it.
yeah, that would be good. And I think we're better off, sharing other people's resources until we're, up and running on our own.
When
It's
is
the day.
It's generally the
It's
first
June.
weekend in June.
Last year, I feel like it was like June 10th.
I know, I can't remember. I
Last
feel
year,
like and we were there.
Second weekend in June.
Yeah.
It was Lent, maybe?
Kid's birthday as well as like we have
Oh.
soccer conflicts. So. Cultural Chaos 2024.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. Well, that's the same, so, okay, June 8th.
nice. Thank you.
June 8th, 12 to 5.
Beautiful.
Well, I can just informally ask Kathleen to be on early, because I share an office, like a physical space in there, and I'll ask her what would be the
That's
preferred
Saturday.
method for y'all to try to get on there, so figure out what you need to do. But
Cool. Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate
no
it.
problem.
Good.
All right. That is everything on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else that you want to? Before we kind of go through what we're gonna try and get ready for next time. All right, so, for me, I am following up a little bit more on, planning on actually working with Jenny this time and not leaving it too long on website stuff and like trying to get that first draft going. Do we want to, in the interest of time, are you folks okay with us like trying to submit a draft to the IT department, or do you want to have us bring it through you at the next meeting?
I vote for the former.
I do too. I don't think I would have anything to offer particular myself, so.
Okay.
I don't want to be a holdup.
Do we feel like that needs a vote or not?
I don't think it does unless it.
Don't think so. No.
Do you think it does?
I said, I don't think it does unless it does.
Hard motion to put out as it was. That's what I like to hear.
It's an action item. It's not a.
Okay, so
there's no binding.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get the initial version up on the website. Obviously, when we get that out, we'll send it around to everybody. If you have feedback,
Yep.
we can bring feedback.
So actually,
It can be undone, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a draft.
social media accounts and creating a webpage.
This will be the Easthampton government webpage, and then create social media accounts. Figure out how to share admin or log in on that. All right. Let's see, did I have other stuff? I'm also going to make a guidance guidance packet for Haven. Bring it to the next meeting. And that is, and then put on the agenda talking more about how to do a volunteer org. And maybe come up with some kind of proposal for like how that volunteer org might be structured or whatever.
End of next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. mailing here. What that agenda item, how did you label that?
I'm gonna, for the next one, I want to put on the agenda talking about how we can have a partner volunteer org that we use to bring in volunteer, folks that want to work on this stuff, and how that would be structured with relationship to the committee as, separate but related entity, if you will. I think that's all the stuff that I had on my list. Jenny?
I said that I would set up a Google form for a sign-up sheet with Owen. I will keep building out website stuff in concert with Sean and Cassie if you're through showing us the ropes. And Owen and I are also going to keep working on the ordinance and maybe get a draft. I don't know if the ambitious version would say that we will bring a draft to the next meeting. I don't know if I can commit to that, but we'll definitely get started on it.
Yeah, not gonna even try to think about asking you to go that far. If you had a draft of a draft, that'd be cool.
Like an outline.
Yeah, like an outline.
Next steps.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's everything that I volunteered to do. I guess I could be one of the admins for a social media. I am a little reluctant because I used to do that for work and I feel sort of burned out on it, but I definitely can. So
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I gotta figure out if he's even a good way to do I don't like shared logins for I'd rather have everybody have their own login but have administration capability.
Right.
But if we're going to do that, I think I'm actually gonna have to find software and then probably software that's gonna be pay to pay, because there's the one I found that I wanted to use, I could run myself, but you guys wouldn't have access to it. So then that would sort of defeat the purpose of having administration stuff.
Right.
So I'll dig in a little bit more on that. If what I find, I will send out. And just because not that I think anybody here is a bad actor, but if we don't have individual logins, it's a lot harder to tell. If somebody does something that the committee doesn't like, it's a lot harder to tell who to slap on the wrist.
Facebook is good like that simply because you can easily have multiple admins.
I like to pretend like I'm not on Facebook.
I know
Some people do, and yes, I know. I barely.
Not actually.
It is.
I am not on Facebook as my full self, and I would kind of rather not give up my not full self thing.
Right, which you don't have to for that either, because you're posting as the committee.
Yeah.
And it is
Yeah,
a platform to reach a lot.
And it does, it does reach, especially when you think about, that, and if we, somebody we know or one of us can actually amplify it through other Easthampton groups, that's, you do start to get a lot more reach out of stuff like that. So.
And if we use a client that posts to multiple platforms, one would need to have an individual.
Right, exactly. That's kind of why I would like to find a client.
Would be really sorry.
Client, and then we could have, instead of having logins to the social media itself, you just have a login to the posting client, right. And then. But yeah. Okay. So that was you, Hal? Do you have anything?
Well, what I think, and this is going to overlap with, I think, things that other people might be working on, but I think it would be good to try to bring to our next meeting just a roughed out version of what a handout might be, for tabling, and in saying this, I think, plant lists and vendors is one thing we would want. But we've discussed several other things, and I don't want to scoop up other people or, and I want to take advantage of their knowledge, but, just try to get so that we have something to look at of what we hand out and hopefully could, get that distilled down to 2 sides of 1 page.
Oh yeah.
Or something.
Definitely needs to be, more than
with something that, I could, afford to, make a couple hundred copies on my own and just call it done. So I think that's what I should try to do.
Okay. Sounds great. And I would be happy to participate in that, because I'm also going to be working on some of that stuff. So we'll work together and use a Google Doc.
Right.
Then.
Yep.
Good. Jamie.
I don't know that I'm locked into anything here at the moment. Continue looking at funding opportunities. But I'm open to being pulled into other stuff. I mean, I like cleanup day. I'm happy to help Owen out with things related to that. I don't know if that's going to be before or after our next meeting.
It should be after. We should have, I mean, I have to look at the calendar
Yeah.
for May, but I think it's going to be after.
Because there's no Monday in May before that.
Oh, you're right.
First
So
Monday
you're
is
right.
the
So
day
it would be,
after.
it would be the day after.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm happy to help with that. And I don't know, I'm happy to be set of eyes and ears for things like review stuff. I'm being pulled into something if there's a need somewhere too. So, just knowing that also, I know my time is going to be stretched right now with a lot of different things. So, especially during soccer season.
So we'll put down that you're more than willing to be pulled in. If we do start taping someday, are you willing to participate?
Yeah. Yes. I suppose Sundays are better than Saturdays because, yes. So when that happens, I'm happy to do that. I've been at a couple of farmers markets for various other things.
And actually that question goes for everybody.
Who's chaos. So
who's willing to who is potentially willing to show up and table if we get space for taping? Okay.
Yeah, and me too. Sundays are better than Saturdays. But it's going to be, what do we say? A dynamic checkerboard of availability.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean,
No. I mean, I can't lock in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Given things that I can foresee coming down.
oh yeah, of course. No, I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to check. Like, if we get to the point where we're actually taping, I think we're just going to be like, sort of thing like, who wants to go this Sunday? Kind of situation. And I don't think we should ever probably, unless people just really want to do it, I wouldn't say we ever would need more than two, and one is probably sufficient in most cases. Although the company is always nice. Like, I don't think I would. I am also obviously willing to participate in taping. Okay, Melody.
I think the action step that I had identified was to look more into, city and arborist and, Easthampton or other local communities that are doing the support homeowners to replace trees that have been taken down.
Yeah.
And what Easthampton is already doing anything that I just don't know about.
Okay. And if we get around to tabling, are you interested in participating in that?
No. Time.
Yep, of course. And I know Owen is going to be working on more resolution stuff. I believe he was also going to talk to Parks and Rec and Transportation DPW. Which is related to the ordinance stuff, but also sort of separate as a line item. Okay. Is there anything that somebody wanted to see happen that we didn't talk about here? Anybody's notes? In terms of, I mean, we can all send this out. It's been useful for me to send out this thing of what folks are going to try and do. So I hope it's also useful to other people. But
Well, it holds my feet to the fire, so that's a good thing.
The only other thing I see on here at the moment was if there's anything going on at the schools that maybe would overlap with doing, I think there was some discussion previously, right? I know they're trying to do like compost program and they have their garden program and there's some other things around that. So I don't know if there's.
I would love to do that, but I feel like at this point with everything, with the amount that we're actually accomplishing versus stuff, I think aiming for the fall semester is probably more realistic at this point. We'll have more stuff under our feet. I think we might have more bandwidth for actually reaching out to the schools.
Okay. Well, and then we're deep into spring term already anyway.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Let's do that.
Yes, right now.
So that's okay.
So I would love to. I think it's
But I think it'd be a nice connection with STEM teachers that are already working on some of this.
Oh, I think,
And-
Yeah. And by fall term, I mean, I'd love to get in touch with some of the teachers before it actually starts, because we can kind of get on their academic calendar for the fall. That would be super ideal.
I would think that's a really good idea.
Probably start thinking about it in like July, though. Probably be where-ish. Melody, is that a?
Oh, yeah, I'm just like, teachers are on vacation all this summer. I'm not getting one in July, but certainly in.
But they're also doing their planning for the upcoming year.
I mean, we're not gonna force anybody, so it's like, if we
No, but it's
reach out and
nice.
ask the
I
question.
can definitely see there's some nice partnerships between school and
100%.
libraries and things that are already happening in this realm. And
Maybe we could reach out to, I think her name was Leah, the person who attended our like first meeting. I wonder if she would be willing to come join us and kind of keep having that conversation, because she seemed pretty committed to making that
she's a
happen.
school, no, PTO.
She works at HCC. She is working with a group at the school, not PTO specifically, but like within the school that's trying to start a, like an environmental club, I think.
Yeah.
School.
And I have her contact information.
Yeah, I know her.
I know, yeah, so I think any of the high schools have an environmental club or the middle school.
So maybe as an action item for this one, the thing to do would be to reach out to her and see
Yeah.
if we think we don't have capacity right now, what is the right time to, what is the right time and what are the right points of contact to reach out to?
Yeah, I'll rekindle that conversation with her just to find out what the plans are from their side and then figure out where the synergy may be.
Nice.
Leverage it.
Okay, great.
I
I
missed
think,
with Owens. I was listing like agenda for next.
he's gonna be working on more resolution stuff and specifically contacting Parks, Rec and DPW. And obviously, I guess, I mean, he's doing this anyway, so it doesn't really count as B stuff yet, although he's trying to pass it out to Bs. Okay, just totally fair. I'm not saying he's wrong. And I actually probably also need to talk to Cassie because I definitely want to do invasive removal for, which we did last year without getting any.
We got some if you want to come along.
Yeah, right, I got some good week.
Constant battle. Crazy.
And I probably also should talk to, because like, even just painting it up, like on the stump.
So you have a lot of opinions about that.
All right, well, we're gonna need to figure that out. Because, I mean, some of the stuff like the faces we did last year, actually were surprisingly effective on the knotweed, even though like, but the knotweed definitely did come back. The garlic mustard, the bittersweet was super effective. That actually did not come back nearly as much as I thought it was going to. The garlic mustard that we pulled also, it actually gave space and some actual asters and stuff started coming up in that space. Which is the other thing I kind of wanted to do with this cleanup is I have some stuff that needs to be edited out of my lawn and I wanted to counterplant with, because it's like some of the stuff is more aggressive. So it's like cut leaf coneflower and I've got a bunch of asters and we actually have some American elm, which is like kind of surprising. That seeded in all over my yard and I kind of wanted to like, this is one of the things I wanted to talk to somebody about is like, we have this big space where like some jackass cut down a bunch of our trees and I wanted to put some of those American elms in there and like surround them and put a tag on them. So I was hoping to do that at the cleanup. So I'll talk to you about like what we might be able to do. I'll talk to you if there's any hope of like being able to have volunteers be able to apply pesticide. We didn't last year. I brought some and then we never got around to it because it was too hard to organize. But and also, if anybody wants to come out for invasive removal on cleanup, we're going to try and get that. It's fun. Actually, killing bittersweet is a lot of fun if you ask me. It's like, that's like high quality entertainment.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Okay, I think we have everything we need here. Thank you all for your time. Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Wait, don't we have to pick our next meeting?
Oh, we have to pick our next meeting. Okay,
Monday.
I was gonna say, do you guys want to do Monday the 6th, which is the first Monday in May?
Would be fine.
Should be good.
All right. So
There's a conservation commission meeting in this room. So I have to find another room.
Wait,
For a different time.
we're on second and fourth Mondays.
I
Are we?
know, yeah, but
The sixth is the
I
first.
have it, I don't know, I have it on here as May 6th, but I wonder if it's because there's a holiday.
Memorial Day is the fourth Monday, so
That is
might,
probably why. I can double check.
Okay,
they moved to first and third Monday for that.
Yeah.
Six is actually not great.
oh, okay.
so why don't we?
We can do the third.
So there's 5 Mondays in April.
Uh-huh.
And so if we back it off a week to the 29th of April, we're avoiding the Conservation Commission.
Oh,
Very true.
I
okay.
could do that.
I like it.
So should we do that?
Yeah, I love it.
April 29th.
Genius, how you're genius.
That's only because I looked at my
You
calendar.
look at the city council, any other committees?
Oh, no, I'm not, but I can. Hold on, I can do that.
Yeah, that's good. Check just in case.
Let's see if it'll let me. I was on my, oh, I am on my computer. Sounds works. Woo, okay.
And while Cassie's pulling this up, just for general information, the Western Massachusetts Master Gardener Association is having a series of workshops in Western Massachusetts. But a week from Saturday, they're up in South Deerfield and they're having a couple of sessions on bees. and gardens. So I'm registered, I'm going. You know, I had one a couple of years ago, so,
Can you blast that to the email?
pardon me.
Can you blast that to our emails?
Sure.
The city
I think
council,
you remember.
Okay.
29th does have the city council appointment committee. I don't know if
This-
Owen
this
serves
is
on that.
Conference room 1, Manhattan Rail Trail Committee is gonna be
Yeah.
down here at 7.
Yeah,
But we could maybe meet a little earlier or, also,
Yeah.
this is in conference room 1. Then there's always the school department one. There's nothing going on up there.
Mhm.
So we could go all the way up.
Okay.
Which,
oh, yeah, because which one's the second floor?
That's the school one. That would be this light purple, but there's no light purple here, so.
Okay, because this says the city council appointment committee is on the second floor, small conference room.
That
That's
is
on
that.
the city website.
That's the school one, so yeah. Well, that's the appointment committee.
The appointment committee, which is not on there, but no, you're in, wait, is that
6 to
May? No,
7.
that's April.
And then Manhattan is 7 to,
Yeah, I don't know. What's on the city website is slightly different. though.
That might be more accurate. If they just haven't requested it yet.
Yeah,
'Cause this is just one of the ones that have been locked in the system.
yeah, 'cause it doesn't mention the finance committee on here at
We
all.
could do earlier, but that might not be feasible for
could we go at
folks.
5:30 and then just be done by 7 to avoid conflicts?
Yeah. You could.
I could do 5:30. That's the earliest I could do. I have a standing work meeting at 5. So,
I can do 5:30.
okay, so trying to do 5:30 on the 29th.
My
I
pen.
like it, the cocktail hour is on there.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to a wedding. If anyone wants to come, it's very exciting.
Good cocktail.
Try.
Okay. Now to move on.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been moved and adjourned a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nobody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.